Hello, hello. Welcome back to another Chainsaw Man stream. Today, we are back with episode 7. A quite odd one, to be honest with you. And I'm very excited to talk about it, as usual at this point. The only thing I'm going to say, before we even get into this episode, because that's probably, the biggest thing, right? I have never been happier to see something censored. I'm just gonna be honest with everybody right now. Unless you're, really pushing boundaries and doing something super messed up, I'm gonna be fine with it. Generally, I think censorship is kind of silly, especially when you have shows that are supposed to be for mature audiences, and at that point, what are you even censoring? But the thing is, when it comes to people throwing up, that's just disgusting. I think I haven't been as uncomfortable watching Game of Thrones as I was watching this. I think that says a lot. Censorship in this one, thank you. Thank you for saving me from that. Even censored, I still found it not very pleasant. But alright, without further ado, let's go through the episode, as we usually do. So obviously the last one we left off, Denji was just about to go fight the devil, the Eternity Devil, and that is exactly where we open. He jumps right in, and I expected some sort of battle, but we don't get it. And frankly, I am happy. If this is how they handle fights, I am fully on board. Seeing Denji fight is cool and all, but frankly, I've seen enough battles, and if it's just to move the plot along, they can skip it like they did here. Because, the fight is literally on screen for all of a minute and a half, and then we just time skip. And I really, really like that. I really like that. We just hear that he's been fighting for days, which we'll get to in a second as well, and that's that. But yes, as much as I don't think I needed to see the fights, as usual, the animation in the fight was excellent. There's a lot of hand-drawn stuff in here, right? I think most of it is actually entirely hand-drawn, and the animation here was so good. So in terms of hyping up my monkey brain a little bit, it was really, really cool. In terms of the scene as a whole, I really liked the music and how chaotic it was. So that was great too. Just combining it with Denji screaming about destroying it and whatnot. But one thing, out of this entire fight, that was obviously, for me at least, the most intriguing, is the lore, right? Because we hear that the Eternity Devil says, "I knew you were still alive," implying that the Chainsaw Devil is something that, Denji is not the first. And then, of course, it also says, "You're so much weaker than before," implying a previous Chainsaw Man. And this is where my theory-making cogs begun to spin immediately, because obviously, as we'd see in the latter half of this episode, people are basically asking Makima just that. What's your deal with Denji? Why are you so obsessed with him, basically? So now I'm beginning to wonder, does Makima have history with the Chainsaw Devil? And is there something with these devils that sort of go through generations of some sort? Something like that. I don't know. Oh, and in the fight, how did I forget to mention this? The greatest thing in this entire thing is 1,000,000%. Denji is losing a lot of blood. He starts drinking the Eternity Devil's blood, and he heals. And then he announces that this is a perpetual motion machine here. I'll regenerate from your blood while you bleed. And then he's going to get the Nobel Prize, which was a nice callback to Power's proclamation of getting the Nobel Prize. That really gave me a solid chuckle. But in the middle of the fight, we also get a whole bunch of flashbacks, right? First of all, we flash back to the Eyepatch Girl, where she is talking to someone whose name I believe we don't get. But he has a very old, rugged dude type of vibe. Who would I compare him to? He's like your typical old, rough dude who's seen a lot of shit and is kind of depressed and just kind of miserable. I don't know who I'd compare him to, but it's that typical archetype, right? And he basically says that sane people fear devils, which is basically the whole Denji's got a screw loose, and that's what makes him dangerous and all that. And then we snap right back to Denji, who has been fighting for literally 3 days straight, and he's still going ham, right? So that was just some extra tidbits of lore toward Denji and toward the Chainsaw Devil. That's my biggest takeaway from here. the whole Chainsaw Man lore is very, very bizarre. Chainsaw Devil lore, I guess. Because with the Gun Devil being like the main through line, I'm just curious how the Chainsaw Devil plays into that. Because, I mean, if we're going with the whole you fear it more, then I would assume that the Gun Devil is still stronger. And also, we get the Eyepatch Girl trying to convince Denji to go to the civilian side, right? And she basically, it's sort of another callback to the scene we just saw, where she just wants to protect him from the Gun Devil because she's like certain that he's going to go after it. And then I just wrote Eyepatch Girl, literally the best character. And I stand by that. So far, Aki and the Eyepatch Girl, hands down my favorite duo. Curious to see how their dynamic plays out. It is very tropey so far, and they do fall in your typical archetypes. But I mean, I can't lie. I like it. I like it. Returning from the flashback, we hear that it's been indeed 3 days, which again, I didn't really care about the fight that much. It's cool, it's flashy and all that, but it just moved the story along more so than anything else. And for me, that's totally fine. And also, one thing I wrote the whole Rick and Morty meme, right? In and out, quick 20-minute adventure. It really felt like that. Because last episode we were going in, it was this, oh hey, it's just another mission, right? And then when they come out, all of them are just like absolutely battered and tired and all that. And it's been literally 3 days. So I also got those sorts of vibes a little bit. Denji collapses. He fought for days with 0 rest. And basically we get what I assume is another slight time skip right after that. And then the Eyepatch Girl, she talks about the 2 normies, the scaredy girl and the other dude whose names I do not remember. And we basically just hear her, they want to quit already, and she sort of just doesn't want him to, because they just got in over their heads, and they shouldn't have even been there, right? So it's sort of what we talked about last time. And that is also the premise for the whole party they have later on, that they just want to make them feel more welcome. And while they're also talking, she also brings up what I just said, the fishy business about Denji, and how he specifically was targeted by the Eternity Devil, and then for Makima's obsession with him. So all of this is just spinning around in my head. What's up with the previous Chainsaw Devil? Because I am sorry, Pochita, I love Pochita, but Pochita is not exactly scary. I think we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, but if the devils like get progressively weaker as they like run out of blood or whatever, maybe Pochita was like an absolute monster before? Who knows? But so far, I'm not convinced that Pochita should be something we should worry about. Or maybe there's like a Chainsaw Devil even before Pochita. I don't know. Because so far, I feel like we haven't really been given a lot of hints as to why Denji is like special in any way. My assumption so far is just that he's the vessel for something more, and Makima just sees him as a moldable thing. And I feel like that hasn't really changed since episode 1 and 2, since I saw it. But the whole history of it, to me, so far is an absolute blur, and I've got no idea. Especially because nobody else, aside from Makima, seems to know about it. Another thing, even while they were having like the chill conversation, they were fighting another devil, which just had like a bajillion eyes or something, and they got like another tiny piece of the Gun Devil. I guess that's just a case of slowly and continuously in the background just moving us toward that big confrontation. So far, honestly, I don't know if I should be expecting us to fight it anytime soon. I don't know if it's like the big bad of Chainsaw Man, like the entire series. I really have no clue. And that's sort of the weird part about Chainsaw Man so far. I just do not have the big picture at all. Maybe it's because we're like super early on, right? Maybe it's because like I've been doing a lot of these streams and I feel like I've been talking about it a lot, that I should be getting a grasp on it. But so far, 7 episodes deep, I still do not have the big picture at all. The second part of this episode is basically the whole party. In terms of how these episodes are handled, that does actually seem to be the case. These episodes are usually just like 2 big blocks, and that is also the case here. I don't know if that's intentional in how they split them up, but so far I feel like every single episode has followed that trend. We don't really see like 3-act structures to the episode or anything like that. It feels like so far all of them have been basically just 2 major blocks. Feels like that anyway. But yeah, that's exactly what we see here as well. The whole party, I haven't mentioned Actually, I already did. I was about to say I haven't mentioned the animation yet, but I have. The animation of like just the side street and the entrance to the cafe, bar, whatever it is. It was really, really cool. Really, really cool. Made me happy. Looks very pretty. And then also the inside, very warmly lit. Very cool. And then Powers, the fried chicken is mine. That is the most glorious scene in this episode, and I will fight anybody who says otherwise. And yes, I also saw a post about this on Reddit already. If you watch Abroad in Japan, I did immediately think of Chris. I'm not gonna lie. That was my first and immediate thought when like she says, the fried chicken is mine. In my mind, I just heard Chris speaking. I don't know. I feel like his fried chicken brand is too strong at this point. I couldn't help it. But yeah, the whole bar sequence, it was a weird one. It was a weird one, but I really enjoyed it. And this is something I'm curious to hear, like from somebody who's actually familiar with the manga. How much of this was expanded for the anime? Because I feel like this whole vibing arc, little thing, is all of this actually in the manga or not? Because I feel like this is one of those scenes that would be perfect to just slightly stretch out for the anime. Because, I mean, it's just the social aspect. It works better when you have people actually voicing the characters and all that. But yeah, the scenes we get here are really, really wacky. Obviously, the Eyepatch Girl gets super drunk, and she starts acting wacky, and we'll get to that drama in just a second. But in terms of the power system again, we hear that... I actually have her name written down. Arai. So she has the same devil contract, right? So this confirms that multiple people can have contracts with the same devil, which is very, very interesting. We'll see how relevant that is, particularly with someone like Makima or something. Because, I mean, when you have people using the same power, things always get fishy. And the fact that it's casually dropped here is very... Oh, wait, no. Arai is the dude, isn't it? Because the Scaredy Girl said that her power was a secret. Yeah, never mind. Arai is the dude. I mixed them up. I'm sorry. I don't know their names. Arai is the dude. So the dude's power is also the fox. And the Scaredy Girl's contract is a secret. Which still... This is what has me thinking. If you remember, the first time we saw the Scaredy Girl, I thought that she would be your archetype of being extremely scared, then suddenly having an absolutely dead stare, and then she turns out to be an absolute monster. I'm still thinking that might be the case. And this only fuels that. If she keeps her power a secret, that seems like a very nice coincidence to reveal her power and for her to actually be ludicrously overpowered. I hope that is the case, because I like that trope. I like that. That's a good archetype. When you have scaredy people who turn out to be absolute monsters, that's cool. In terms of Denji in this sequence, he has an intense moral dilemma, because the Eyepatch Girl has promised to kiss him, but then Makima shows up. And it's like, this entire sequence was so good. It was the wackiest thing I've ever seen, and it was glorious. It was glorious. I was laughing out loud the entire way through, until that scene, which we'll talk about in a second. The thing here that I found interesting is that many people that were present at the little party have never actually met Makima in person. Curious. Very curious. So, I don't know what to take away from that. The whole Makima mystery. Makima is the most sus character in this entire thing. I just want to know more. And speaking of which, Aki has the same vibe, because he just straight up asks, okay, what's up with you and Denji? Just tell me. Like, you're a sus Gus, I need to know more. And then she casually says, I'll tell you if you can outdrink me. And obviously, she outdrinks everyone, and she's not the least bit phased. Which, at this point, I'm convinced is because she's not human. That is my thesis statement right here. Something about her is sus. She might be full-on devil. Something about her is very odd. I mean, that's like the first thing I said when I saw her eyes. You might remember, like in episode 1 or 2. I thought her eyes were sus. And her entire vibe is sus. I don't think she's human. That's my theory. I think Makima is doing something. Is doing very shady things. Because conveniently, Denji, who is a mix of both, he can't drink, right? So he doesn't drink. And Power is just eating fried chicken, so we don't really hear anything about her. And the rest of them are normals. How convenient. How convenient. Or she has a contract with the liver devil. Also a possibility, also a possibility. I would not be surprised if this little joke about her out drinking everyone and not being the least bit phased, I would not be surprised at all if this turns out to be like your little wink for like when you're rereading or rewatching the series. And yeah, and here, this is where I wrote, okay, I've never been happier about something being censored, and then XD with about 5 million Ds. The Eyepatch Girl obviously goes to kiss him, and then the most disgusting thing possible happens, and it's just vomit everywhere. And it was disgusting. I'm so glad it was censored. Even with it being censored, I was like, no, I did not need to see this. We could have cut away to like a whimsical scene of someone reacting or something like that. That did not need to be on screen. And frankly, my day is ruined. I would imagine that it's not censored at all in the manga, and it's not cool. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. Nobody needs to see that. But what I found really weird about this is the aftermath of this entire thing. Because when we cut to the toilet, and Denji is just puke. Oh yeah, before we get to that, let's talk about something cool. The scene of Denji and Pochita just eating in the alleyway. That was really cute. That was really cute. It's funny how Chainsaw Man has one of the most marketable plushies of all time. Because now that I've actually seen Chainsaw Man, and I think back to all the videos of people in Japan that I've seen, the amount of Pochita plushies I've seen without knowing that it's from Chainsaw Man is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I feel like every single YouTuber who lives in Japan at some point in time has had this plushie show up in the video, and now I know that it's from here. So that's sort of funny in how marketable it is. Wouldn't be surprised if it's purposeful, because I feel like that's what people do nowadays. This is a rabbit hole. Let me go down a quick rabbit hole, right? When you're designing a series nowadays, because of how saturated the market is, you always want to have one thing that is extremely marketable. Netflix hasn't done that. If you think about Stranger Things, there's nothing you can sell that's cute. But Stranger Things is a ludicrously big series. Disney, on the other hand, they have Baby Yoda. Think about that. That's business. That's business. It's a rabbit hole, and I love these sorts of things. And I wouldn't be surprised if Pochita was exactly that, and if it was that, then big brain move. Very good. Very well done. But the conversation they have in the bathroom was surprisingly mature. And this is something I'm gonna talk about. This entire episode, despite how tropey and how sort of anime over the top it was, a lot of it was like really dark and really human, if that makes sense. It didn't really feel over the top, even though in many ways it very much was. The whole, I envy you, I never had such power, and then Denji just casually says, why would you envy me? My first kiss was with vomits, right? And it's pretty messed up. It's pretty messed up. And then the final scenes really had that vibe too, which we'll talk about in a second. But when they leave the thing, obviously the neon signs, it's like a 3-second shot. I had to write in my notes, oh my god, the neon signs are so cool. I really want to get a neon sign like back up there. I would really want one. But I think my cat's gonna drag it down, because I have these lights, right? I can already make it look a little bit like Cyberpunk. But I want to go full-on neon lights. I want to do that sometime. That'd be fun. I like myself a good neon sign. This was cool. And then the Eyepatch Girl casually just carries him away, right? And then we cut to their apartment, and Eyepatch Girl is still very much drunk, and she sneaks up on Denji, and then it gets very not safe for work. And again, despite how over the top and in many ways anime tropey it was really dark and just straight up depressing. And I kind of dig it. Think it's just like a lot of it felt bizarrely real, if that makes sense. Because I thought it would be your typical very thirsty fan servicey thing, but it wasn't. I thought it was done well. And yeah, the closing shot of them just sleeping and then the light falling through the very creative window was also cool. As for the outro, because obviously this is Chainsaw Man, We get a new ending for literally each and every episode, because who cares about money, am I right? I have really, really mixed feelings on this, because obviously they're going for the whole VHS vibe, and I love that. I love that 100%, and the whole neon, you see like the box TV, that's really cool, and it's like nostalgia, 5 billion, because I feel like they made the TV so generic that literally each and every person who's ever had one of these box TVs is like, oh my god, that's my TV. Because I swear, I've had this exact TV, and I've had this same exact VHS box. I swear, I've had it. I'm certain of it. Kind of funny that I feel like a lot of people who watch Chainsaw Man don't even know what VHS is anymore, though. Kind of depressing. The ending was like really cool in terms of the visuals, but in terms of the visuals, especially the rainbow vomit scene. I did not need to see that. I did not need to see that. We could have just skipped that. We didn't need that. But it's cool, though. The music, though, wasn't exactly my type of vibe. In terms of the music, the Death Note one is still my favorite one. I think that's ending 2, I believe. And at this point, I will 1,000,000% do some sort of ranking of all the endings. I want to watch all of them again, and I want to talk about them. Because the fact that I think a lot of these are done by, like, independent artists, which is, like, really, really cool in terms of just, like, getting them exposure and stuff. So I like that aspect of it. All of us know, or at least, I think most people by now have the gist of the animation culture, how it is in Japan and how messed up it is. So I feel like giving them these opportunities, even these one-offs, is just a cool thing for the industry, generally. That's really cool, and I want to talk about them more. And I absolutely love how ridiculously different all of them are. Because they fit in with the episode's vibe, right? This one specifically, you even get like the whole JRPG thing, where the scaredy cat girl is like in the bar, right? I love it. I love it. They fit in with the episodes, but they are so different. I love it. I wish literally every series did this. Let's all get a new ending for each and every episode. All right. Enough rambling. That's it for today. I hope you have a wonderful week. The rest of your week, I guess. All right. Have a good one. Bye-bye.